Welcome to this week's episode of the JR&Skipps podcast. It's a podcast where we cover the sports topics from the previous week, as well as some entertainment and music content. JR, let's just go straight into it. This weekend was the Champions League final. We're talking about Arsenal versus PSG back in Budapest. It kind of feels like Arteta had a very good plan. Go there, score one goal, lock up, pack the bus, try to play the Jose Mourinho tactics. But it's fair to say maybe because of the time when we scored the goal, that sort of backfired. And I know you have a lot to say, and there's probably a lot of banter on your chest. So I'm just going to send it over to you, though. Any opinion about how the game went?
The game went as perfectly as it could for me from a hitting point of view, right? And I couldn't wish it on a better person to be the person to miss the last kick, which was Gabriel. But
Yeah.
all jokes aside, back to the overview of the game, like you said, Arsenal came with their own game plan and PSG had their own game plan. But I think, like you alluded to, Arsenal's game plan set in a little bit too early in the sense
Yep.
that the early goal probably negated everything Arsenal planned to do attacking wise for the entire game. And, they just went into their contain and low block, which is very understandable, right? It's a final. You don't have to go there and show your attacking prowess. The goal is to win the game. But I think that mentality kind of stifled the attacking floor. And we could see it with the kind of performances that we got from Trossard, Saka, Odegaard, and Havertz, despite his goal, right? But still, talking about Arteta's game plan, right? It was almost perfectly executed. Almost perfectly executed, right? And it was a game of close margins, if we're being fair. It's not like PSG, regardless of the bulk amount of possession they had, they were bombarding Arsenal's goalpost with chance after chance. I think Raya wasn't really called into action many times. So it was a very close game. And if anything, Arsenal had their own half chances that they could have nicked them a second goal from. I'm not even alluding to the set pieces. I think in 9 minutes of the first half, Havertz had the chance to make it 2-0. I think he fluffed this line. So all in all, I'm very elated that, it turned out the way it did. As a hater, and it's very, very heartbreaking, right? I mean, like losing the penalty shootout, like it's shattering. So my heartfelt condolences to my Arsenal fans. But yeah, long may it continue.
Yeah, I can see you're super excited about
Whoa.
Arsenal being unable to finally get the Champions League because, this podcast would probably not have been enough for the both of us if we had that
Hey, yo!
Champions League medal. Well, it is what it is, though, because to be honest, talking about half chances, and when we were 1-0 up, Havertz had a chance that if he had put that in the back of the net, that's 2-0. And honestly, I think I could trust this Arsenal defense to go 2-0 up and seal up the game. Maybe probably concede one more, but definitely would have won that game. So there's no need talking about the past, though. Whatever happened, happened. The way the game
Let's
went.
dwell on the past for a bit because I still need to cook you guys some more. So please, before we move over to the
Okay.
past.
So still sticking to the past, my G.
Yeah, still sticking to the past. Exactly.
So
What
it's
happened
fair
to
to say.
Starboy?
No. Look, there are two things about this game here. There are two ways to look at it. Yes, we got an early goal, but then the truth is Arteta had a plan from beginning, and that was to be compact. Because you really can't compare PSG's attack to what we have in Arsenal. And yes, you can say Starboy, but if you're talking about PSG attack, it's levels above what we have in Arsenal. Where we're strong is basically in the defense. And if you want to look at how the game went, it's fair to say the defense played their part because honestly, man, I don't think Raya had to make a save throughout the game. The only chance that really threatened our defense was when I think it was Vara, when he had a shot that got deflected by Luis Kelly and then he hit the post. Or was it even Bacola? I don't remember.
Yeah, I was
So
going to
to
say
be
Bakola
honest,
had 2 opportunities to break away, but he's a waste man. So,
yeah, and a funny thing about talking about Bacola being a waste man, there's so much talk about everybody wanting to sign him. So I'm like, what are you trying to sign? You want to sign someone that's not going to put the ball in the back of the net. Well, forget
exactly.
about Bacola, though. I do think this still shows us the strength that Arsenal have because just before the game, there was talk about how PSG was going to blow Arsenal out of the water. But come on, man, we held them all the way to penalties. And it wasn't like the last Champions League final where basically they dismantled Inter Milan 5-0. To be honest, like we sort of showed ourselves and to tell everybody that, look, we're going to be back. And the next time we're here, probably going to come back with a better attacking lineup because, come on, man, we got money
This is
for
a very, very,
champions.
very, very huge change of tone from you, though, because prior to the
Um,
game, hey, please, you were not letting me, you were not chatting to me about being blown out of the park and all this copium that you are just drinking right now. Basically, what you were saying is you were ready to go toe to toe with PSG, and everybody felt like yes, Arsenal could do it because winning the
But
league
but but
title.
yes, everybody knew Arsenal could do it because even before the game, there was talk about the possibility of Arsenal actually winning this Champions League. And all you haters can hate, but none of you actually got to the Champions League final.
Hey,
I'm talking about a
but
Man
I
U
guess
fan
both of
that,
us didn't win it though.
yeah, but you didn't even compete, my G.
Okay, and after competing, what did you get?
Yeah, but at least I got to the final. At least I'm sort of representing England. Because of me, 5 English teams are going to be in the Champions League next season. So that's props to
Okay.
Arsenal and not Manchester United. Well, either way, you're going to be in the Champions League next season. Let's see what you guys have to offer since you all have a lot to say.
I
And
touched on Arsenal's progression, right? Season after
yeah,
season. I told you it was first a quarterfinal exit, semi-final exit, and a final. And I was like,
yeah,
the next step of things is probably you coming back and winning it again. But it just sucks, right?
absolutely.
Because in the Champions League, it probably doesn't work out that way. Bants aside, I can remember PSG making it to the, I think, 2020 Champions League finals with Neymar and Mbappe, and they lost a goal to Bayern, and everyone was saying, oh, next season they're going to be there, they'll come back again. Till this date, Neymar never made it to a Champions League
Yeah,
final.
but PSG at the
Mbappe,
club eventually came back and then they won it back to back. So if
five
I'm
years,
gonna if I'm
five
gonna
years
ride
later,
on that
though.
point, it's fair to
5 years
say,
later. 5
yeah,
years
just
later,
maybe
though.
we don't win it next season, but we'll be back. And when we win it, it's probably gonna go back to back. So uh, let's just wait and see though. The fact is, I'm really proud of the boys. We sort of demonstrated that Arsenal is a big team and we're competing at the highest level. We didn't get embarrassed in terms of what was you are used to seeing
Oh, you did get
PSG do.
embarrassed. I don't know
Yeah.
what you're talking about. It was very embarrassing to see your captain sky the ball. I think he landed on my porch
Nah, he wasn't our captain,
Sunday
man.
morning.
Gabriel isn't the captain. What
The
are you
ball
talking
landed in
about?
my garden on Sunday morning, by the way. So,
Man, all you haters, man.
so,
Well,
but basically, though,
yeah.
what I'm saying in a nutshell is that, yeah, moral victories for minor league coaches at the end of the day. I get what you're saying. Like, big ups to the squad. It's never something to be dismissed when you have a Champions League final run, of course. But I'm just saying, right, to re-up and come back again to the same position in the Champions League, you have to invest heavily in the squad and you have to upgrade your players, which brings us back to a point I wanted to touch on, right? Um, for PSG and for Arsenal, we could say, quote and unquote, some of their star players did not really, leave their mark on the game. Dembele was a little bit quiet. Kvaratskhelia was quiet prior to him getting the penalty. We could say he was playing with an injury, and we could say the same for Dembele as well. But I could also say the same for
Okay.
Arsenal star players that we expected, to set things alight. But that's what happens in a tight game like a finals, right? But going back to the original point I was trying to make. So for next season now, saying all things being equal and Arsenal want to make another cup run, you probably have to, upgrade the squad and add more firepower. So that brings us back to the topic I think we had a couple of episodes ago. Do you think Saka is at the level where you can rely on him season after season, to make the next step or to be the firing power? Or do you think you need another adequate support other than money,
Um,
Madueke?
To be honest, yeah, I have nothing against Saka, but I can't deny that his level has dropped to an extent because, the Saka that we're seeing now is not the same Saka that we were used to in terms of how he used to take his man on the run, beat his man, create play, cross the ball, shoot. Since that injury, there's been like a sort of drop in Saka's overall performance. But
Yeah.
then, as they say, form is temporary, class is permanent. It's fair to
Yes.
say just maybe Saka comes back to his best, but the problem is now you have a World Cup, so they don't even get to have a good rest, proper preseason. But hopefully next season we see the best of Bukayo Saka. But to your point about improving the front line, I do think there's a lot of improvement that has to be done in that Arsenal front line because the left, for example, having Trossard, Martinelli as the options on the left in the Champions League final compared to Vara and Bakola, come on, man, like
I
there's
think
levels
Bakula
to
is
this
a level
shit.
below Martinelli, so I don't think that argument is fair.
I think Bakula, Martinelli are probably on the same level, but in terms of the level above, we're talking Vara. You can't compare Trossard to Vara. Even on the front, we're talking Havertz and Gyökeres. Gyökeres came in and, bro, he had zero impact on the game, to be honest. Dropped some shots against Gyökeres a couple weeks back when we had a Cool Kid French on the podcast. And then the following week, I think he scored 2 goals against Fulham. And we're like, oh, Gyökeres is back. But now he's just back to the same Gyökeres that we know. But I think we're definitely going to have to upgrade in terms of the number 9 this season, and probably the left-hand side of the attack. And honestly, I wouldn't be sad to see Martin Odegaard go and get replaced with a proper number 10, because that's our captain, but he was nowhere to be found in the Champions League final and eventually had to be removed and wasn't even there in terms of the penalty. And one key point I would like us to touch on, though, in the Champions League final, when you get into the extra time, you actually have an additional sub. But then the game was so subpar that Arteta eventually had to make 6 subs. And then we had an injury to Hincapi, and basically he couldn't make another sub. So you were basically playing 10 against 11 for like the last 20 minutes of the game. So I'm throwing this to you, though. Do you think that's poor man management by Arteta, or that's just him being unlucky?
Yeah, which brings me back to the point where you were trying to say you think Arteta got it spot on. I mean, it showed that it was his first Champions League finals, right? And you could see the poise from Enrique showing that, he's been there. This is his third Champions League final, right? And he's won it 3 times. So the experience matters a lot, like you said. I think Arsenal probably rushed 1 or 2 substitutions. I think Arteta wanted to be on the front foot, especially after the equalizer, and I think he could have let the game settle a bit, like you said. So you have that wild card option in the extra time, but I think he was trying to go for it in regular time. But to your point, I don't think he should have made the 6th substitution so early into the extra time, right? Which basically, like you said, could have backfired if PSG were able to exploit the injury to Nkapie. But big ups to Arsenal, though. You guys created like a nice defensive shield on his part. But I think it's because players like Dembele and Kwara and Doué were pretty much the first 2 were out of the game, and I think Doué was pretty much shattered at that point, right? So he couldn't really go at Nkapie as much as he should have. So yeah, I think Arteta's inexperience showed a bit, but you only gain experience in situations like this by actually, going through it. So if ever there's another opportunity for him to be in that situation, I definitely know he will not make some of the decisions he made, right? Also, talking about some of the choices from the Arsenal team, I wanted to throw it back to you and ask you what your opinion was on the spot kick takers, right? The way they set them up. Do you have any problem with Gabriel being the 5th penalty taker? And yeah, just your overall feelings on
Um,
what transpired.
First point here, Gabriel has never taken a penalty for Arsenal. So, that says a lot that he gets to take the 5th penalty in Arsenal's biggest game
It
in
was
over a
basically
decade.
Aura farming. Okay.
No, I don't think it was oral farming. I think it was in a position where Arteta had made too many subs that, the real guys that were going to take the pen, talking about Bukayo Saka, probably Kai Havertz, Martin Odegaard, they already left the game. And then the guys that were left on the pitch in terms of Martin Zubimendi and Noni Madueke, they were not bold enough to actually say, okay, why would I let a centre back take a pen when I'm here? So maybe, it's about the fear of failing, if I can call it that. And we can always reference Saka's penalty miss back in the Euros, and we know how long it took him to recover from that. So that's why maybe Noni Madueke did not have the guts to take the pen. But at the end of the day, you have a chance to become a legend, become an Arsenal hero, and you'll be known forever if you score that penalty and eventually got us to win the Champions League final. So I guess, let's look at it as a missed opportunity. And in terms of looking forward, though, yes, we got to the Champions League final. We didn't win it. I guess the idea is we need to go again. And now we're going to be going again with new competition, talking about Manchester United coming back to the Champions League. So, let's see how it
Why am
goes
I
next
in
season.
this? Like, why are we in this,
Let's
bro?
see how it goes next season. Man U fans seem to have a lot to say, even though they were nowhere
Bro,
in Europe playing one
you
game a
guys have
week.
had a lot to say. You've never won the trophy, so I don't know why.
Yeah, I guess we're going to find out next season. There's always another chance to do it again. And good thing is you're going to be part of the competition. And I just really hope I meet you somewhere in the quarters, the semis. That's if you even get there. But, we'll see.
Not you
Okay,
plotting
my
your
G.
revenge already. I'm dead.
Yeah, I'm scheming, my guy. I'm already
Why don't you
scheming
want to
now.
meet PSG that whooped your ass? Why are you
Nah,
looking for Man
I
U?
want to meet the guys that won't let me rest, man. After saving you guys, winning the league, getting you guys an extra position in the Champions League for
I
next
guess,
season.
I
This is
understand. I
all you
guess we
guys
can't
have
say
to
big
say.
broad for a team like Chelsea because they are nowhere to be found in Europe. So
Nah, no, we're talking Champions League, man. Why are we bringing up Chelsea?
whoa, whoa.
Okay, oh my G. Let's call it a wrap here. So,
Yeah, yeah.
once again, thanks for connecting with us. As always, please hit the subscribe button and please remember to follow us on social media platforms. It's JR_Skipps on Twitter and TikTok and JR_Skipps_podcast on Instagram. Tap in.
Let's go.